Now, it's common knowledge that we all need to be saving more, and indeed, household savings shot up during the pandemic. But with the cost of living crisis now squeezing disposable incomes, saving may soon become harder for many. There's also a revolution taking place in how we receive financial advice, with firms increasingly looking to wed technology with human interaction. Well, one firm taking that approach is Netwealth, whose founder and chief executive, Charlotte Ransom, joins me now. Charlotte, welcome to you. Are you worried about people's ability to save in the current climate?
Well, I think there's no doubt that saving has become more complicated, or in fact, investing has become more complicated. But actually, my bigger concern is that in the UK, we still have too few people investing and too many people sitting in cash. I mean, I was looking at the most recent statistics from ISA savings, and of the 75 billion recently put into ISAs, 3/4 of that is still sitting in cash. And that is a way to guarantee you won't outstrip inflation. So I think actually there's a lot more needed to be done to help people take that step into investment. And that's one of the reasons I started Netwealth, is to help make personal finance more accessible, more user-friendly, more transparent, and really get people focused on what they can do with that hard-earned money.
So what does a typical client look like for you?
Our typical clients are probably in their 40s or 50s. They may well be quite time poor, so working full time still. They will have built up a certain amount of money, which they really want to keep, and they want to grow. And at the same time, they're expecting to earn more money. And I would say they're also generally quite switched off by what they have seen is available in the more traditional wealth management market. And by that, I mean, they're fed up with the fact that there is a lack of transparency. They're very old-fashioned very often in terms of how these services are provided, and the costs are really high. And so our clients have come round to thinking, okay, the way we can do this better is have a combination of the human side, which I think is always very, very important, whether that's human advisors able to speak to people about their individual circumstances, or humans, in fact, behind the investment process and the asset allocation, but letting technology do the heavy lifting when it comes to making things more accessible, more transparent, and for clients to be able to understand much more explicitly what's going on behind the scenes with their portfolios, how much are they paying for the service, and very important, taking control over what it is they're looking to achieve with their money.
It's a very competitive landscape right now, though, isn't it, Charlotte? I mean, you've got the robo-advisors like Nutmeg gaining traction, while Hargreaves Lansdown, which we traditionally regard as simply a platform, I mean, they're moving ever closer into offering deeper advisory services.
Yeah, so really interesting, actually. I mean, from the robo-advisory standpoint, I think they're servicing a very different community. So I think average portfolio sizes tend to be in the sort of 20, £25,000, a younger community of people who are looking for online investment. What Netwealth is doing is working with a demographic that tends to have a little more money. So we're servicing a group who on average have portfolio sizes around just under £500,000. The community that we're actually really looking to service are the 11 million people in Britain who have anywhere between £50,000 and 5 million. And I think, your mention of Hargreaves is interesting. They've announced that they are going to take roughly 5 years and spend £200 million putting together a service which sounds remarkably similar to what we've devised at Netwealth. And I think they're right that beyond the DIY platform, there are people who are looking for that service that combines technology with human advice, so that you're able to create as customized a service as you need and for what you're looking for.
Well, imitation is the greatest form of flattery, Charlotte. You mentioned earlier on the fact that so many people have their cash mouldering away in cash ISAs rather than in stocks and shares. But I mean, what about the government? I mean, if the Chancellor wanted to encourage prudence, surely he wouldn't have frozen inheritance tax thresholds and the pensions lifetime allowance out until 2026 in the way he has.
Yeah, I think people are really struggling with some of these caps that have been imposed. I mean, the one that you mentioned in pensions has been reduced now to just over £1 million that we're allowed to save up to now in our pensions. having said that, I am actually often surprised by the fact that people aren't taking full advantage of the wrappers that are available. So, with ISAs now, you can do 20,000 per adult, 9,000 per child. And so for a family of four, say, that is £78,000 every year you can put into ISAs. And the difference over 10 years for a group that does that versus a group who doesn't is a full £100,000 worth of additional value given the tax-free element. In pensions, same thing. People need to think about, okay, if I'm capped out on my pension, how about my spouse? Is there a way for us to be able to maximize the overall household sort of tax efficient savings? So that's one thing. I think the other thing, which for me is absolutely critical, is we spend a lot of time worrying about inflation, quite rightly, or the fact that investment returns are really low, or that there's a cap now on how much we can save into our pensions. But one of the most critical things in terms of the outcomes for our personal finance is actually how much are we paying away in fees, and what is the impact on that to our end result. And I mean, just to give you a sense, I was looking at a client's pension. He had moved it from another provider over to us just recently, and his pension extended from that retirement pot going from 23 years to 30 years. So he got himself an additional 7 years of value by reducing his annual fees by 1% per annum. And I think, again, when we think about the sort of general community in the UK and how much we worry about being able to achieve our financial goals, if people only understood how much value they could drive themselves by something that's controllable, which is reduce the fees you're paying, get out of cash if you have too much cash right now. Those are the types of things that we can really make a difference for ourselves and have a fundamental life-changing impact sometimes.
Absolutely. Charlotte, it's been fascinating talking to you. I'd love to talk to you some more, but we're out of time. Please come back and see us again soon. Thank you.
Many thanks.